article back in November of 2020 titled, "We Won't Force Vaccine, but here's what we will do." It is very telling as the language used closely resembles what the Bible has prophesied in Revelation 13:17, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. The article reads, "The issue of how to motivate vaccine compliance has generated increasing interest, with commentators such as Mike Cernovich writing, 'Government won't force you to take vaccine. Amazon will, airlines will, banks will. You won't be able to buy, sell, or trade without the vaccine.' If we're discussing how to create motivation for Israeli citizens to vaccinate, I agree. You can't force the population. It won't work. We can talk about it until tomorrow. It won't work. What is possible is to create motivation. Whoever is vaccinated will automatically receive green status. Therefore, you may vaccinate and receive green status to go freely in all the green zones. They'll open for you cultural events. They'll open to you the shopping malls, hotels, and restaurants. You may decide you're not vaccinating, and if you do want to enter these areas, you'll need to submit to a PCR test. And therefore, I believe people will understand by themselves that the vaccine will return them to regular life, and they'll vaccinate themselves without our obligating them. Again, this article was published back in November of 2020. None of this happened, but the idea of it being discussed should send chills through your body. This is lesson 5, and in previous lessons, we have discussed the current language being used that matches what the Bible has told us. If you are not fully engaged with these lessons by now, based on the actions and language of your government that mirrors Bible prophecy, I would assume you are not just paying attention. In the last 2 lessons, we have studied the prophesied one world government and the prophesied one world religion. In this lesson, we will learn about the enforcement mechanism that will be used by the Antichrist and the false prophet to impose their will upon the people of the world. The world government will use economic control to force people to give their allegiance to the Antichrist. The prophecy is found in Revelation 13, verses 16 through 18. The Bible prophesies a time when every person will be required to have a number. Without this number, you will not be able to buy anything or sell anything. In order to get your number, you will be forced to worship or pledge allegiance to the world government system. This system that the Bible prophesies could never be set up until now. The prophecy is about 2,000 years old, but the fulfillment is only possible right now. Only with the invention of the computer, the rebirth of the internet, and the use of credit cards has it become possible to set up a system whereby every person on earth could be tracked and controlled economically. I heard preachers preaching about it. The time will come when everyone will have to have a mark or a number in order to be able to buy or sell. So now we have it. We have a system in place whereby every person could be given a number, and that number could be used to determine whether you can participate in the economy or not. Now, I'm talking about a database that can control the world. Let us take a look back at your daily interaction. Your last trip to the bank or ATM, you had to present a card. Keep in mind, these cards have an assigned numbering system that identifies you. You put the card into the machine and it asks you for a PIN. Upon entering your PIN number, it greets you with your name on the screen. Welcome, Robert L. Bailey. You have been identified as the owner of that numbering system within that database. You have the same experience at the gas station, the malls, and even with your new driver's license. The Real ID Act is now mandated throughout all 50 states. Beginning January 22nd of 2018, driver's licenses or state IDs issued by states that were not in compliance with the Real ID Act could not be used to fly within the United States unless your state was granted an extension. As of October 1st, 2020, every traveler will need a Real ID compliant license or state ID or another acceptable form of identification to fly within the United States. We were forced to visit our local license issuing branch and purchase a new license if you wanted to fly. Do you see how the mandates are so subtle? They are so subtle now, we are not even noticing them. We're not noticing them at all. The little subtleties that are going on in our lives. The conditioning process has begun. In order for the mark system to be totally effective, you have to move everything to digital. They've already moved us to debit cards. Passports are scannable now. Medical visits are no longer stored in a file cabinet. They are digitally stored. Music is digitally stored. We are moving along so rapidly now, you don't even need to carry your credit card or debit cards with you anymore. Just tap your watch or your phone, and your purchase history is now stored indefinitely. Have you ever noticed how accurate your mobile phone is at tracking your current location and your past location? You Google a location to get whatever information you're seeking, and the phone alerts you with, you visited this location on May 6th of 2020. The only thing missing to be totally controlled digitally is cash. Right now, you can still pay with cash, but not everywhere. There are places all over the country where cash is not accepted. There have always been some retailers, such as discount grocery stores, that don't accept credit cards. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, an increasing number of stores and restaurants are accepting cards and digital payments while refusing to take cash. For many retailers, it's a precaution to limit the spread of germs during the coronavirus pandemic. And considering all the advantages of a business going cashless, there's a good chance the trend will stick around. You now see more retailers with self-checkout kiosks, equipped with cameras and only cashless transactions, displaying signs that read, "Cash not accepted at this register." After standing in line to get to the kiosk, you now have a decision to make. Use a credit card instead, go get at the end of another line, or just leave without purchasing anything. Do you see how the convenience of a card or digital technology is becoming widely accepted, even to those who really don't want it? The cashless society is already here with credit cards, debit cards, mobile payments, and digital currencies such as Bitcoin. All transactions that can be tracked and controlled, unlike cash. How is this for control? China has implemented a social credit system program. China's social credit system is expanded beyond a financial score. China's social credit system expands that idea to all aspects of life, judging citizens' behavior and trustworthiness. If they are caught jaywalking, sitting in a handicapped seat, and they are not handicapped, their social credit score goes down. If they make negative comments about the Chinese government on social media, don't pay a court bill, play their music too loud on the train, their social credit score goes down. And they could lose certain rights, such as throttled internet speeds, booking a flight or train ticket. It's not a unified nationwide system, but China plans on eventually making it mandatory for everyone. This story was published December of 2021. You are probably reacting to this news in disbelief, But the same thing can happen to you here in America without warning. Imagine you are at the ATM and you go through the process just to receive that receipt prematurely, and it says transaction cannot be completed. What do you do now? Maybe try another ATM just to get the same response? What went wrong? You've got to get it fixed or you don't get any money. What caused the problem? It could have been too many purchases that day. Perhaps you're over your credit limit, or maybe there's a mistake. But there is a database somewhere that controls whether you can use that card or number to buy or sell. You go see someone, obviously, about this issue, and it is corrected. However, do you see how easy access can be denied from you? Now imagine for a moment that the declined access was intentional because you failed to comply. Every dollar you've earned that you have secured in a financial institution has now been separated from your control until you comply. What do you do? In Sweden, some citizens are having microchips implanted into their bodies so that they don't need to carry key cards, IDs, gym cards, office key cards, and even train tickets. About 3,000 people in Sweden have inserted a microchip, which is as tiny as a grain of rice, under their skin over the past 3 years. This story was published May 16th of 2018. In Australia, a controversial law that would have banned cash payments over 10,000 Australian dollars have been voted out by the Australian Senate. Many saw it as infringing on the freedom to use cash and to protect one's financial privacy. This article was published December of 2020. The actions of the people of Australia are the actions we need to take as well. When we see bills and laws being introduced that infringe on our freedoms, speak out against these mandates that enslave us as citizens and vote for like-minded people into the offices that make these decisions. We are in lesson 5, and this is possibly the most important lesson you will ever hear in your entire life, because really understanding this lesson can mean the difference between eternal salvation and eternal damnation. The Revelation 13 prophecy states that you will not be allowed to buy or sell if you have not pledged allegiance to the Antichrist and his one world government. One entry into the database and your access to the global economy will be cut off. Let's just say that a world religious system were set up and everyone has to pledge allegiance to that one world religious system in order for their particular entry into the database to be checked. Okay. If that's not checked, then your number will not work. Your card will not